The rain tasted of rust. Elias Thorne, private investigator, wiped his mouth with the back of his hand, the gesture leaving a smear of reddish-brown on his weathered skin. The cemetery dates loomed before him, wrought iron twisted into grotesque floral patterns that seemed to writhe in the perpetual twilight of Havenwood. He pulled his fedora lower, a brim shielding his eyes from the oppressive gloom. Havenwood was a town steeped in secrets, a place where the past clung to the present like a shroud. He's been hired by Mrs. Abigail Blackwood, the matriarch of the prominent Blackwood family, to investigate a series of unsettling events plaguing her ancestral site, Blackwood Manor. Strange noises, unexplained shadows, and the pervasive feeling of being watched. Superstition ran deep in Havenwood, and the locals whispered of the manor being cursed. Elias, a man of logic and reason, dismissed such notions. Ghosts were for children and gullible fools. Yet, the unsettling feeling gnawing at him, the pervasive sense of dread that had followed him since his arrival, was difficult to ignore. He pushed open the gates, their hinges groaning in protest, and stepped onto the overgrown path leading to the Blackwood estate. The rain intensified, plastering his hair to his forehead and soaking his trench coat. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. Blackwood Manor was a Gothic monstrosity of grey stone and darkened windows. Gargoyles leered from the roof, their expressions twisted into silent screams. The house seemed to brood, a silent observer of the world's follies. Mrs. Blackwood, a woman of considerable age and even more considerable wealth, greeted him at the grand entrance. Her eyes were shadowed with worry, her voice trembling slightly. "Mr. Thorne," she said, her voice barely a whisper, "I'm so glad you've come. Things have been unbearable." She led him into the manor's cavernous hall. Dust motes danced in the faint light filtering through the stained-glass windows. Portraits of stern-faced Blackwood ancestors gazed down from the walls, their eyes seeming to follow his every move. "It started a week ago, Mrs. Blackwood explained. Strange noises at night, doors opening and closing on their own, objects moving, and then the dreams." "Dreams," Elias prompted. "Horrible dreams," she shuddered. "Of a man, a dark figure. He speaks, he tells me to relinquish the family's legacy, to open the vault. The vault, according to local law, it housed the Blackwood family's most prized possession, the Obsidian Heart, a gem said to possess unimaginable power. But the stories also spoke of a terrible price for its use, a curse that would befall anyone who dared to awaken its potential." Elias began his investigation, systematically examining the manor. He found no signs of forced entry, no obvious explanations for the disturbances. The staff, a collection of nervous individuals, claimed to have witnessed the strange occurrences firsthand. He interviewed them, noting their accounts, searching for inconsistencies. He spent the night in the manor, determined to catch whatever was causing the disturbances. He set up motion detectors, infrared cameras, and microphones, meticulously documenting every sound, every movement. Around midnight, the manor plunged into an unnatural silence. The rain stopped, the wind died down, even the creaks and groans of the old house ceased. Then, he heard it, a faint whisper seemingly emanating from the walls themselves. "Release me." Elias followed the sound, his heart pounding in his chest. It led him to the library, a vast chamber filled with ancient tomes and forgotten manuscripts. He found the hidden passage behind a bookshelf cleverly disguised as part of the wall. He cautiously entered, his revolver drawn. The passage led him to a circular chamber, the air thick with an acrid smell. In the center of the room, on a stone pedestal, lay the Obsidian Heart. It pulsed with a dark, internal light, casting eerie shadows on the walls. Standing before the pedestal was a figure shrouded in darkness. It slowly turned, revealing a gaunt face with hollow eyes. "You shouldn't have come here," the figure rasped, its voice like the scraping of bone. "Who are you?" Elias demanded, keeping his revolver trained on the figure. "I am Silas Blackwood," the figure replied. "A forgotten ancestor, a prisoner of this gem." Silas explained that he had been obsessed with the Obsidian Heart, believing it could unlock unimaginable power. He had attempted to harness its energy, but the gem had consumed him, trapping his soul within its depths. "The gem feeds on despair, on regret," Silas said. "It corrupts the mind, twists the will." He explained that the disturbances in the manor were a manifestation of his suffering, a desperate attempt to break free. "Mrs. Blackwood," Silas continued, "she is being influenced. The gem is manipulating her, urging her to awaken its full power." Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was Mrs. Blackwood, her eyes glowing with an unnatural light. "You must release me, Silas," she said, her voice devoid of emotion. "I am the key to unlocking the gem's true potential." Elias realized that the gem had completely taken over Mrs. Blackwood's mind. He had to stop her before she unleashed something terrible upon the world. He lunged at Mrs. Blackwood, tackling her to the ground. She struggled against him, her strength surprisingly formidable. "You cannot stop me," she screamed. "The power of the obsidian heart will be mine." As they grappled, Elias accidentally bumped into the pedestal, causing the obsidian heart to topple to the floor. The gem shattered into a million pieces, releasing a wave of dark energy that surged through the chamber. Silas screamed as the last vestiges of his trapped soul were released. Mrs. Blackwood collapsed, her eyes returning to their normal color. The chamber began to shake violently. Cracks appeared in the walls. The manor groaned under the strain. "You're too late," a voice echoed through the chamber. It wasn't Silas's, nor was it Mrs. Blackwood's. It was something else entirely. The ground beneath them split open, revealing a swirling vortex of dark energy. From the vortex, a monstrous form began to materialize, its eyes burning with malevolent intelligence. The seal was broken, the entity boomed. "I am free." Elias knew then that shattering the obsidian heart hadn't destroyed the evil within. It had merely unleashed it. He looked up at the emerging horror, realizing that his investigation had only just begun. The last thing he saw before the darkness consumed him was a single phrase whispered on the wind: "The Blackwood legacy continues." A faint tremor shook the ground, causing a pile of rubble to cascade down, sealing the hidden chamber. Outside, the rain began again, washing away the scent of decay and masking the horrors that lay beneath Blackwood Manor.